AMD says the RX 9070 XT sold 10 times more than its predecessor in the first week. Lisa Su dropped this claim in an interview with Asus Tony, saying it has been a fantastic success. Actually, it is the #1 selling graphics card of all the AMD Radeon generations for first week sales by far. 10 times higher.
Nice.
This may be true for launch week, but does not necessarily indicate a successful quarter or year for AMD. This graph from John Petty Research shows a decline in sales for AMD's Halo products dating back to 2009. Basically, other than a
GPU Halo products.
Yeah, GPU. Other than a little bit of uptick in the what is this? Third attempt at rebrand? No. Okay, sorry, hold on. Okay, so this is the launch of Hawaii after multiple rebrands of. Oh man, I'm trying to remember which one did they rebrand? Like
she said it's
bazillion times.
Of all the Radeon generations, though, so that would be all the way back to 2009. So this is a like over 4-fold increase.
Hold on. I'm trying to remember which one was the one that they rebranded like a zillion times.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm trying to remember. This they rebranded once, the 480 to the 580. But I thought it was the 7970, wasn't it?
I thought it was 7970 or 7950.
Didn't that
was it a Halo product that was rebranded?
Yeah. Or was it the 5870? Come on, help me out here, guys. There was one that got rebranded like 3 times. Someone's saying RX 380. Man, how do I not remember this
290
anymore?
had a lot of rebrands too. Yeah, but I think that's before this.
Yeah, the 290 did have a lot of rebrands. There was one before that though. 7970 became the 280X. 7970 to 280 to 380. Oh, that's right. It was the 7970, which became part of the 200 series and then became part of the 300 series again. Like that GPU was around flipping forever as a current part of their lineup. Oh, Atomic Brain Fart says 380 was different. I really thought I really thought it was part of it. 7970, December 11th, and then became the 280X. It was rebranded as the R9 280X, essentially the same GPU, Radeon R9 3. Okay, someone copy-pasted something into the chat, but it seems to have been truncated.
I think it got cut off.
That's really helpful. All right, well, either way, cool. Anyway, so yeah, they've been in a long, steady decline, according to John Petty Research, for literally like 16 years. However, I see hope. Like you can see it just in publicly available data, like the number of reviews on products. Like back in the Fury days, you'd look at these cards on Newegg and like, yeah, technically there's listings for them and there's like a couple in stock, but there'd be like 6 reviews, and that's over a span of like 6 months. So in effect, nobody was buying these cards. But that does not seem to be the case with the 7000 series. It is worth noting that while the 9070 XT is likely the top-end card from AMD this generation, it's not meant to be a top-of-the-line competitor like some of the other cards that were highlighted on that graph. With that said, it's a higher-end competitor than Polaris, for instance, which was meant to be more of a mid-range card. But oh man, I don't know. Is this meant to be positioned higher than Polaris? Because Polaris launched at like $250 or like $199 or something like that. I don't quote me on those numbers, but it was like affordable. But then is like $549, $699, or $649, $699. Is that mid range now?
I think disgustingly kind of.
I didn't just hear that sigh. I felt it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it actually bothers me because low range users have kind of been priced out. The 60
completely.
series, so there's kind of 2 things that have happened at the same time. One is the prices of graphics cards have massively ramped. Another one has been that I don't know about you, but when they first shifted to talking about 60, 70, 80 kind of series cards, we're talking about after the 9800 series.
Sure.
So starting with the 200 series of cards, the 60 series was it had a lot of focus, I feel like. generally one price to performance. Like it was a very reasonable card to get. It was pretty solidly priced. It got you a really good step up in generation every time. It was good.
It was a good thing to buy. Just if you just want to like game at 1080p medium to high, just like buy that every time.
I don't know when that started getting eroded, but it feels like it has been.
Well, the 2000 series didn't even like. Oh no, they got the 2060 kind of sucked though, because the main highlight of the 60 series was, or the 2000 series was that it had ray tracing, but the 2060, you can play Indiana Jones and the Great Circle on it. It's actually okay, but like barely. So you were, if compared to the 1660, right, which was the non-RTX from that generation, but it's 16 series instead of 20 series. I don't know, whatever they were doing with that branding.
Yeah.
That was honestly a way better value if you didn't care about ray tracing. And the 2060, even if you did care about ray tracing, it was barely really capable of it anyway. So that was, to me, where the 60 series kind of lost its luster. But for me, the bigger conversation is like, what the fuck happened to the 50 series?
Yeah, fair enough.
50 also used to be a great value.
Yeah, it was a solid card.
Like back with like Maxwell, right? Like a 950 Ti or whatever was like a pretty solid card. Like the 1050 was like, or 1050 Ti. I believe there was a 1050 Ti. Hold on, I'm pretty sure. And I'm pretty sure it was pretty solid. 1050 Ti. Yeah, there was a 1050 Ti. Yeah, that thing was solid. And like, what was the MSRP when it launched? It was $139 US.
A solid card
for $139.
Like this is what we lost.
Yeah.
Even look at the cooler. Like the cooler even looks cool. If that's actually
I don't think that ever existed. Yeah, I never saw that.
I know. I'm pretty sure those existed for 1060s, and I think it says 1050 on there.
Yeah. No, 1060s definitely. You could buy ones that looked kind of like this. But this effectively did not exist. It was all partner cards.
Okay.
Yeah. Someone says they still use 1050 Ti's in slot machines. Nice. Anyway, speaking of somewhat maybe affordable cards, B580s are in stock. And this is not $250, which is what it was supposed to be, $250.
Yeah.
But $90 over MSRP feels less ridiculous than some of the stuff we're dealing with these days.
Do you want to have a Labs website feature discussion live on WAN?
I would love to.
So we've been figuring out getting pricing on the site.
Oh,
because there's been this the discussion for quite a while now is like how do we get people, not that we even really profit off of this, but we want the site to be more useful. Getting you to an actual purchasing decision is a very significant form of being more useful.
Yeah.
So one of the problems that we have is we want to include pricing. We haven't traditionally included pricing.
Yep. And we've talked about this. I mean, going way back to the original like roadmap meeting for the Labs website between me and Luke, we've talked about pricing, but it's not there yet. Obviously,
but and there's a big reason why a lot we like back when I was testing graphics cards. Every single time in the review there would be price to performance. It was the graph everyone cared the most about. Mm-hmm. It was the graph that like we cared the most about.
Yep.
Now it's completely irrelevant because the MSRP is just meaningless.
Yeah, or it's not irrelevant information. It's irrelevant for us to create that graph based on
numbers that aren't real.
Numbers that are
you're
just
not going to be
invented.
paying that price to buy the card, so it doesn't matter. So we're like, okay, we can get MSRP on the site, but like, does that really solve anything? So we're working on. We have one of them right now, a store where they're sending us their information so we can see if it's in stock. We can see the price, stuff like that. Okay. It's not on the site yet, but we
have like API access
today. We got that from one of them.
Okay,
and
does everyone have that, or like?
Seems like most stores do. But not all of them.
And is that something that we have to like pay to access, or like what's the dealio?
Seems like sometimes yes.
Or is there like a rate that's free and then over a certain amount?
We're going to try to talk to people because I suspect when we talk to people, it's going to be free. But I think by default, most places that want that type of information are not like public info sites.
Right. Okay.
There's something else.
Okay.
So anyways, we'll figure it out. But so far it's been fine. It's been free. But something we're wondering about is like, okay, cool. So we can have some store information, but then it's going to be practically impossible. Like we have a global audience. It's going to be practically impossible to include store information from every single store in the world.
Oh, yeah.
So if we want to be able to build a price to performance graph, which I would love to do, like, do we do like a bring your own price setup?
Oh, interesting.
Where like you could plug in, because one thing that I like about that, and I'm wondering what you think about this, is you could do that for old cards too then, because you could put in the used market price, and then you could compare like a used market price 3090.
Yeah.
Based on your local market, like a listing that you found, you could just plug that number
in. Facebook Marketplace in
and then you
Italy.
could compare that against maybe an MSRP card that is out right now and check the price performance based on those numbers. Like, is that interesting? Would you, if you think back to, I don't know, like NCIX era, pre-NCIX era Linus,
I would use it so hard.
If that's true, should we go that way?
I'd use it super hard. I think we should.
It seems cool to me, but it takes development time, right? So yeah, we have to balance against like what else could we do?
I think we'd probably have to have both. I think you'd have to have a default, because realistically, something like, depending on whether we're talking Creator Warehouse or LTT, the US market is somewhere between 40 and 65% of our base, right? So
yeah, like US is
you
most
probably
of
just
it.
default to USD because it kind of works for any market that derives pricing from USD MSRP as well, like Canada.
Yeah.
Like Canadian pricing for consumer electronics is almost without exception just US pricing times the exchange rate. There are industries that don't operate that way. Mobile phones, for instance, will have their own Canadian MSRPs, sometimes game consoles. But when it comes to the IT industry, almost all of it is purchased in US dollars. So it's just marked up from whatever the cost is in US dollars. That's just how it works, because almost all of it is imported through LA. McBain asks tariffs. Tariffs are a completely separate conversation from that, because
aren't tariffs usually slapped on in cart?
Well, Canada doesn't have any tariffs
that's not how
on electronics that are imported from China through the US.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't matter. So basically for the US and Canada, you would just have to convert to your own currency to get an approximate idea of what the price to performance would be. For stuff like Europe, man, it gets really complicated though, because like they do include their taxes in their pricing, and like over here we don't. And okay, would the idea be potentially to try to have like at least one store partner for like the top few currencies?
I want to have ideally like a bunch of them.
Oh, okay.
So this is not an or.
So this is to fill in the gaps.
We are definitely going to have, because like, I mean, the lab's website is like fairly likely to lose money forever, but we do want to have affiliate links for people, so those would have to have store prices effectively.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, no, they wouldn't have to. We have them already, and we don't have store prices.
It'd be way better.
It would be better.
It'd be way better.
So
like it's in the retailer's.
That's going to be a thing anyway.
It's in a retailer's best interest for us to have a functioning affiliate link.
Yeah.
And for us to have functioning stock and pricing.
Yeah.
Because effectively they win.
So we can already have functioning affiliate links, but people are clicking on them blind, basically.
Right, which is like stupid.
It's not ideal.
Yeah.
So that's probably happening anyways. You can't rely on scraping though. We're not planning on scraping.
Yes.
Yeah.
We will never scrape anything. We are good boys.
We definitely didn't already do that.
Nope. No,
yeah.
we wouldn't.
Yes.
We would not.
Yeah.
Not ever!
And like some people are pushing back on like, well, what does the MSRP even mean though? Because you can't buy a card at MSRP. That might be like true, but that's true right now. And that's also not true for a lot of other verticals. It's mostly just a problem for GPUs.
Yeah, I mean, you can buy a CPU for MSRP right now.
So we're making a site for more than just GPUs.
Shraf2K asks, what about a calculator for price to performance where you can put your local pricing? Yes, you're all caught up with the conversation.
What a great idea
that we're in the middle of.
I love that. That's fantastic. I think this was like Liam's idea or something on the LabsWeb team. But
yeah, that's
I think it's pretty sweet. There's been a few other like interesting ideas on how we can deal with like pricing stuff on the site, because we're trying to. make it useful, make it good.
Angry Panda asks, why would you not scrape? Well, it's against the terms of service to use the data on people's sites in ways that they don't authorize.
Some of them, not technically all of them, but
yeah, some of them though.
Most, I'd say.
And it puts additional load on their server for non-human traffic that is in violation of their terms of service. So if for no other reason other than that it's rude, we would never do it.
Fullblade's a different company.
Yeah, Linus Media Group would never do it. Sorry, something in there. Okay. Anyway, yeah, no, that sounds super cool. I would want it populated with something by default, and then I'd want to have like an override. Okay, riddle me this.
Not sure how it would look. That's one of the things we're working on.
Could we implement like a high-low median of eBay sales prices? Because that would tell us what is readily available secondhand.
We're still learning how to do a lot of this stuff. Like I'm talking about, we got like a pricing thing today. It's super far from landing on the site because we're probably not going to want to land it on the site with only one partner. So we're probably still waiting to go through like communication negotiations with other partners. We also have to figure out like how we're going to lay this stuff out. Like if we show multiple stores for the price performance thing, which might be a thing that we do, and we also make it so you can bring your own price, and then we also make it so you have high, low, medium for eBay, but then eBay's very like location specific.
This is starting to become the kind of thing that I'd want to like save my session for.
And like it starts getting like really like we're scope creeping, feature creeping the heck out of it. So it's like that might be cool, but then we're already like, again, we've never done this stuff before. This is new to us.
How about this?
We're looking at all this data from even these stores, and even the stores are really weird about how they list and label things sometimes.
Oh, yeah, because marketplace and like, so you'll have something that's a better price, but the shipping is like $45. It's like
when we were looking at Amazon at one point, I found a SSD listed under graphics cards with like the specs like smashed into each other, sort of like some of them were GPU specs, some of them were like, you pull some really weird data out of there. So we have to try to figure out like how to match this up with reviews on our site and all these other things. And like there's that, I think it's more complicated when you go to somewhere like eBay.
I would love to think that you could kind of crowdsource something like that, like like valid links to the right part number. But then sometimes those things can change. Companies can rev stuff silently, and so all of a sudden that information becomes out of date, not because anyone in the community did anything wrong or because our site did anything wrong, but because there was a silent revision and nobody knows.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot of different ways we can approach it, but I think this will be
I think I would, in my perfect world, I would select my country, and then I would say, I want to buy new.
Even that, like, so just sorry to cut you off. Just even that, allowing country selection, we're now either excluding a ton of people, or we're scaling to an incredible number of stores to support off the bat.
We would start with one or two countries.
Yeah.
And then we would add as needed. But
it's just
in terms of like how I configure my view, I'd want to select my country because otherwise what are we even doing here? Right? And the US would probably be the default.
Sure.
So I'd want to select my country.
Scrollable list of countries with the US like you normally have with like keyboards and languages and everything else.
And then I'd probably want to go new, used, and then
are these
custom.
Like checkboxes or
this would be like a mode.
Okay.
New, used, and custom.
So custom is bring your own price.
Yeah.
Used is like eBay, Craigslist, whatever else.
Yeah.
And then new is just MSRP. No. New is store pricing.
Store pricing.
Yeah. Would you have an MSRP option just to like chip away at graphics cards?
No.
Just to make fun of graphics cards? Yeah, probably not.
It's just useless.
What can you buy it for now?
Yeah, exactly.
Would you show, like, what if something is completely out of stock practically everywhere? Would we have like a warning?
I mean, almost nothing is. Tell me something.
5090.
5090. I'll find it in stock right now.
I haven't checked at all. I have no idea. But I mean, there will be a scenario where there are none.
Okay, so if you have $5,000, you can buy a 5090 right now.
But you said new, right?
That's new.
But this is on eBay.
So
does new include eBay? Because people aren't always truthful about new things on eBay. Sometimes people sell pictures of things.
I'm just saying, there's always a price. So what we could do is we could return our best result, our closest match. Like I'm willing to bet if I go on, okay, here, let's try Amazon.com. I bet there's like a third party seller that has a 5090 for like $6,000 or whatever. Here we go. Add to cart. One left. $4,000. 5090. Boom. I'm not saying you should buy it. I'm just saying you can.
That's such a yikes, dude. Was that American Amazon?
Oh yeah. You better believe it, buddy. That is like, wow. What does that actually work out to? So an additional $450 per $1,000. So that is like a 6,000 Canadian dollar GPU. That is going to cost like over 10% of the median Canadian income for a GPU, if I recall correctly.
So absurd.
Median Canadian income. Oh, a little under 10%. Wild.